We have two presenters in this session, and we request Ms. Nomeen Kasi. She is Research Assistant at Balochistan Think Tank Network, Quetta. So please start your presentation, ma'am.
Distinguished guests, respected scholars, and fellow researchers, good afternoon. My name is Nomeen Kasi, and I am a research assistant at Balochistan Think Tank Network. I am from Quetta. I am truly honored to be here today at the 26th Annual PAP Conference to present my research on an issue that is critical not only for Pakistan's future, but also for the broader fields of resource management and sustainable development. The paper I'll be presenting critically evaluates the National Finance Commission NFC award in Pakistan with a focus on the implementations on the equitable resource management between provinces. The paper I'll be presenting is titled Equity and Reforms, Rethinking NFC Award in the Light of Pakistan's Population Growth. This will be the sequence of my paper. I'll be discussing introduction, rationale of the study, research objective, research methodology, finding, recommendation, and conclusion. Pakistan today stands at the population of 241 million according to the 2023 census. This presents an enormous demographic burden on the country already struggling with the resource limitations, economic instability, and uneven development. To manage this imbalance, the Constitution created a mechanism, the National Finance Commission NFC Awards, designed to distribute financial resources between the Federation and the provinces fairly. On papers, the NFC Award was meant to promote equity, balance, and national cohesion. However, the core problem, the central argument of my research paper is that the current NFC award distribution mechanism, especially after the 7th award, reinforces population size more than the developmental needs. As a result, provinces with a lower population but higher deprivation continues to fall behind. Although the 7th NFC award introduced additional indicators such as poverty, revenue collection area, however, population still holds a dominating weightage of 82%. This creates a scenario where the larger provinces automatically gets more resources, while areas like Balochistan, rural Sindh, and parts of KPK, which require greater investment to uplift social indicators, remain underfunded. This is not just a financial issue. It is a demographic and developmental crisis that shapes the future of millions. The rationale of the study. The central question of this research paper is simple but important. Does the NFC award encourages equitable development across Pakistan, or does it unintentionally widen provincial disparities? The 7th NFC award is historic, but it moved away from giving 100% of the weightage to 82%. Yes, it did reduce and added more indicators to it. However, still populations hold and is dominating the current formula of the NFC award. This NFC first model raises concerns, especially in a country where population size does not necessarily reflect developmental needs. Objective and the purpose of the research is to examine whether the NFC award contributes to equitable social development, to assess whether the NFC awards correlate with the human development outcomes including literacy, maternal health, and poverty, to analyze the demographic and development disparities among Pakistan's provinces, and most importantly, to propose reforms to recalibrate fiscal federalism in Pakistan. The study uses a mixed method approach combining official data on education, health, poverty, literacy, HDI, and census results with expert interviews for formal and presenting secretaries, scholars, and policymakers. Their insights helped uncover both structural political dimensions of the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, the findings of my research paper are clearly and concerning. On number one, it overemphasizes on the population causes inequality. Population with 82% weightage overshadows everything else. Provinces with smaller population but higher social economic deprivation do not receive enough funding to address their challenges. The result is persistent underdevelopment regardless of constitutional intentions. Number 2, social sector outcomes remains highly uneven. Even after receiving higher transfer post 2010, province outcome remains far from balanced. Literacy rate varies drastically. Punjab at 66% versus Balochistan at 42%. Health expenditure is unequal. Punjab spends 551 billions while Balochistan spends 42 billions. Poverty remains high nationwide, 25.3, but is worse in smaller provinces. This shows that financial transfer are not transferring their equivalent improvements in education, health, or human development. Number 3, governance weakness and undermines NFC impacts. Expert emphasized on the corruption, weak institutional capacity, lack of accountability, inefficiency in utilizing funds, and the political disagreements that have blocked any new NFC award since 2009. This means even when the money is available, it is not used effectively. 4, population weightage is not a sustainable development indicator. Globally, very few countries use population as the dominant criterion for fiscal transfer, and even those that does not rarely exceed from 20 to 30%. Pakistan's 82% is one of the highest of the world, making the formula inherently inequitable. Recommendation. Based on the evidence, the study proposes several reforms to ensure a fairer, more effective NFC distribution. At first, reducing the weight of the population. Population should be limited to 20 to 40% or divided into subparts, current population and population growing and reduction. This means provinces should not be rewarded for higher population growth. Instead, a reward and punishment mechanism should be incentivized controlling population. Number 2, Pakistan must adopt a more comprehensive formula by increasing percentage and addition of new indicators for poverty and backwardness, health and education outcomes, climate vulnerability, infrastructural gaps, natural resources and mining potential, demographic performance. This ensures a need-based and development-oriented system. Number 3, shift from equality to equity. True fairness means giving every province according to its needs and simply according to its size. Simpler, marginalized provinces must receive great support to achieve national cohesion. Number 4, strengthen governance and accountability. No formula can succeed without transparent fiscal management, strong local government, anti-corruption measures, effective monitoring of development outcomes. Funds must translate into real improvement for people. Number 5, institutionalizing NFC and depoliticizing the process. The NFC award must be updated every 5 years as required by the Constitution. Continuous delays harm smaller province the most. Each award should allow innovations in the formula, so Pakistan must adapt to its changes demographic realities. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the NFC award was created as a tool of equity, unity and balanced development. Yet the dominance of population as the main criterion has prevented it from achieving these goals. As a result, we continue to see widening gaps in literacy, health, poverty, infrastructure across all the provinces. My research concludes that even though the NFC formula is revised, yet diversified and made equitable, Pakistan will struggle to achieve harmonious national development. Fiscal federalism must evolve not just to reward population size, but to uplift those who are in need and support the most. The fairer NFC award means a fairer Pakistan. Thank you. With this, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kasi. This topic is very pertinent in today's, not only in today's conference, but also in contemporary Pakistan, because very recently Government of Pakistan has established its 7th NFC Commission, and their first meeting I think had last week or a week. So it will be, but still, yeah. Yeah, so let's hope for the best. And with that, we have our second presentation, which is on the viewing population management as national security issue, which is again a very interesting and important topic. And the presenter is Mr. Mohammad Suleiman, a student of demography from Punjab University.
Assalamu alaikum all of you. I'm Mohammad Vikas Gondal presenting climate variability and population growth impacting food security in Pakistan, focus on the climatic extremes on the behalf of Mohammad Salman. Pakistan is highly vulnerable to climatic disasters with its fifth largest population, 255 million by 2025, driving food demand in rapid growth. Globalization boosts its availability via trade but exposed to price shocks, while 22 and 25 floods destroyed 2 to 4 million acres of cropland and 8 lakhs to 1 million livestock, surging imports by 65%. This is the Amnesty International page that claims that Pakistan is among the most vulnerable climatic disasters. If we see the food insecurity in Pakistan, that is a serious concern, 26% by GHI. If we look into the GHI score based on the values of 4 components indicators, that is the 16.5% of the population is undernourished, 33.6% of the population is of children under 5 are stunted, and 10% are wasted, 5.8% children die before the age they get 5. Now, Pakistan's food security is under the serious threat due to the combined pressure of increased climatic extremes, rapid population growth, and changing global market conditions. Climatic shocks like flood, droughts, and heat waves repeatedly damage crops, livestock, and infrastructure, causing sudden drops in the food availability, excess nutrition, and stability. At the same time, Pakistan's fastest growing population puts constant pressure on the food production and affordability, weakening the system even in the normal years. Globalization adds another layer. It helps fill food gaps through imports and technology. Now, the question is, what is the food security? Food security is the situation that exists when all the people have all the times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an healthy and active lifestyle. 4 pillars of the food security are accessibility, availability, utilization, and stability. The research questions for this research is, how do climate variability and extreme climate events affect the food security in Pakistan? What is the role of the population growth in influencing the food security, and how does the globalization influence food security in Pakistan? Now, how climatic extremes affect each pillar. If we talk about the availability, crop failure, again, I have already mentioned that 2 to 4 million acres lost in only the year 2022 due to floods. Livestock deaths up to 1 million heads. Accessibility, price hikes, rural income losses and from the livelihoods, utilization, malnutrition worsens the situation. Even they do not have the safe drinking water. Stability, long-term supply chain, feed, they do not have the long-term stability of the food. The methodology I use is, it utilizes the annual national level data for the Pakistan covering the period of 2000 to 2023. This data was compiled as from these sources mentioned in this. Food availability by FAO, food security indicators, World Bank, WDI, FAO, WHO, all the indicators are collected for the PCA analysis. Construction of the food security index 2-layer analysis. The PCA 2-layer analysis was developed to analyze these data because this data is very large. So we have to analyze it with the PC analysis. The two-layer PCA analysis, first 24 indicators were identified, and with the help of these 24 indicators, we have developed 4 indicators that are the pillars of food security. That is availability, like percentage of required calories, per capita protein supply, share of calories. If we talk about the accessibility, then GDP per capita, infrastructure, undernourishment rate of the population, utilization, water and sanitation, excess, child malnutrition rates, etc. are considered. In the second PC analysis, we combine all the 4 pillars like availability, accessibility, utilization and stability into one to make the one food security index. Now, to measure the climate variability and extremes, the 3 components are taken, like flood incidents from 2000 to 23, and in between 2010 and 2022 data was taken. Drought occurrence in Pakistan and temperature anomalies. Temperature is rising, or the weather is, and then the climate is disturbing. So I have taken these 3. Now, what are the challenges? The challenges to the food security main is and climate variability, climate change and environmental degradation. Pakistan ranked, already have discussed, the 5th most vulnerable country to climatic change. Rising temperature reducing the crop yields. Again, water and irrigation challenges, they are also playing a major role. Yes. The PC analysis shows that the Pakistan food security can be measured with the one combined food security index, that is FSI, food security index. In the first stage of PCA, each dimension of food security, availability, access, utilization and stability, has a main component with the value of greater than 1, explaining 55 to 75% of the variation in its indicators. In the second stage, all the 4 dimensions were combined, and with the value of 3.603, explaining 90% of the total variation. These variations indicates that the things are very high. Dimensions move closely together and can be represented well by a single index, and this matched real trends in Pakistan. It was lost in the year 2000, improving during the mid 2010 and then declining again. The largest drop occurs in 2022. Overall, the PCA results confirms that the FSI Food Security Index is a reliable and meaningful tool for understanding Pakistan's food security over the time. These are the scree plots. These scree plots revealed a sharp drop after the first principal component PCA across all the food security dimensions, showing PC1 captures most key information into the data. Cumulative variances rise rapidly, with the PC1 explaining over 50% of the variance per dimension and 90% of the overall food security index. Overall scree plots statistically justified using PCA. Now, the conclusion is Pakistan food security improved gradually from 2000 to 2023, but repeatedly set back by the major climate shocks, especially in 2010 and 2022, and even the last in September 2025. Globalization helped the cushion some impact, are enabling food imports, technology access, and external support. The PCA-based Food Security Index effectively captured these trends, while modeling showed strong long-term drivers and highly volatility during extreme events. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is again food security, climate change is very important and a topic that is haunting us in Pakistan, not only in rural areas but in urban areas as well. So we're very grateful. It's a wonderful topic. Before I open up the floor for questions and comments, I have a very wonderful colleague, Dr. Tokir Hussain Shah, who is discussant to this session. Dr. Tokir is Assistant Professor and Head Department of Development Studies here at the School of Social Sciences and Humanities. And he has vast experience of working with private, government, national and international organization, and also worked a lot on irregular migration and climate change as well. So I invite Dr. Tokir to have his comments on the paper and also on the broader session that we are having here in this room. Dr. Tokir.
Dear Dr. Faisal, thank you so much for this kind introduction. Dear presenters, students and participants, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. So we have enough time, so it's not some sort of it's just academic discussion, and meanwhile we can take some question answer session if you allow, Dr.
Yes,
Faisal. So we have enough time. So we have two wonderful paper in this session. Now we ignore other indicators. That's very important point. And especially when we are talking about Balochistan or some part of Sindh interior, especially some part of KPK, even in Punjab. So we should take care of all other indicators. So Ms. Nomeen, I would like if you let us know something more about the source of your data, because in methodology you mentioned that you used mixed method techniques including surveys and secondary data and primary data. You have conducted some in-depth interviews. But we really couldn't get any insight that what sort of data it was. For example, what were the secondary data sources, some secondary data from government reports or some from international reports, or it was just systematic review of literature. So there was no reflection on the source. And especially at such national levels, when we are talking about such very sensitive topics, I think without any quoting a single reference, if we are making claims about such a very important and very sensitive topic, so it would or could have been better if you come up with some very strong citation and references, because I couldn't find any single citation or reference of this all debate that what was the actually source of data. You just mentioned that the source is secondary, but we really don't know what does it mean by secondary data. And especially when we are talking about the constructive methodology, we are talking about qualitative research, especially in social sciences. Then we decode the meaning of people, especially when we are dealing with the in-depth interviews, that how people construct the meaning by using their background knowledge. So even then we couldn't get any insight from those qualitative interviews that what does it mean by some experts and what was their areas and what they said, and how this quantitative and qualitative data complement each other. So much. And we have another paper from Mr. Suleiman, and that was also amazing paper on climate variability and food security. Recently, I took a chance to visit Sindh, and one of my colleagues visited Balochistan for a research project on climate change. And what we found that was amazing. We found that institutional mechanism is there. The state is present everywhere, very strongly present. But the issue is the lack of coordination among state institutions. Whenever we visited, even in Sindh, we visited in all three types of landscape. For example, the coastal area, Thatta and other relevant areas, then the green belt and the deserted belt. So in everywhere we found that state institutions are there, fisheries, social welfare department, irrigation department, or other government institution dealing with all these crises. But there was a serious lack of communication and coordination. So they were just shifting that this department is responsible for this climate mitigation adaptation or so and so, or this department is responsible for early warning system and so and so. And what I found that while we are talking about climate change, food security and so, mostly we ignore the importance of indigenous knowledge. For example, recently I conducted a research that is on Punjabi calendar. So how proverbs, how these even the local literature that reflects on different climatic change and adaptation strategies. But generally we ignore all these indigenous system and indigenous knowledge when we are dealing with especially climate adaptation, because that's very important that through these indigenous knowledge, through indigenous proverbs, we can get some insight how local people identify, how local people they express their views about this change. So again, that's very important, and this time you are really very strongly come with some references. So that's the only an academic debate, because with having this data and reference, now we are have a picture of the data, that this is the source of data and this is how it's going in. I want to conclude on one point, that mostly because I belong to social sciences, especially in sociology and anthropology. So mostly in morning session and whenever I attend some conferences, we mostly focus on the word crisis. So I attended in Germany, Bielefeld and Munich. Dr. Faisal is there. So there was a conference and I was also the organizer, and the theme was that crises are emerging social question. Being a sociologist or anthropologist, I don't believe in crisis. So if there is climate change, it's food security, it's population growth, it's NFC award, it's irregular migration, it's criminality, it's criminal justice system. So it's all about the social transformation of society. For example, if we take stock of 12,000 years ago from hunting and gathering, and then pastoral and agriculture, horticulture society, industrial society, post-industrial society, so that is a part of transformation. That is not a crisis. That is an emerging new social question. And as academicians, we are here. The purpose of this conference or this debate is that as an academician, especially from social sciences, how we come to the solution of these emerging social questions, not crisis. So that is my just humble suggestion, that we should take these type of issues as emerging social questions. So now I would like to invite some questions from the floor. Yeah,
I
please.
have a question for the first presenter.
Yeah, please.
You mentioned that you had looked at some other countries' models of how.
Yes.
Were there some that you found more useful than others and you thought might be proposed for Pakistan?
Yes, ma'am. India's model is way better than Pakistan's model. IFC of India is a very, very good model, one of the best examples. Germany too has one of the best examples. The only worst is Nigeria's. It is 100% based on population, which Pakistan was before the 7th NFC award. However, Pakistan now is on the second last worst model. The ones we can look into our neighbor, India has one of the world's best
What
models.
made it particularly good?
Ma'am, it had, the population was very less. It had many indicators, and the indicators were basically like vasted into many fields and covering many areas. And the best, what I found good about it, that its provinces can take loans from international donors to support their province, for uplifting their province. That I found very interesting. Like, I don't think in any other country, or I don't know, I've not studied many models, but India's I find very particularly interesting. And the province can literally take aid to uplift their province. So that I found really interesting.
Thank you.
So regardless of debate on population weightage and other distribution of resources, there is a very serious question of governance. And without addressing this issue, regardless the percentage of all these resources, I'm not going to negate the percentage of population.
Mentioned in my findings as
Yes,
well as the report.
yes, that's very important point. I really impressed by that point, because that's all about governance. Yesterday, Amnesty they released international reports on corruption index, I think so, and still there is a betterment as compared to other statistics, previous statistics, but now we are improving in this index of corruption. But having said all this debate, I think this issue of governance and governance reform, that's most important to address this issue. Any other question, please? Yes, please.
My question is from Ms. Nomeen Kasi. She mentioned in recommendation is that depoliticize the NFC award. What does she mean by depoliticize?
By depoliticize, I mean the politicians are the ones formulating the NFC award, while it's not the work of the politicians, it's the work of economists who should do it. The politicians, for their benefit, seeks more. Like the Punjab politicians, they would want more share for themselves so that they get re-elected next time and they take the award and wear the crown of taking more resources. While it's the economists who should plan the distribution and resource mechanism, not politicians.
But in the commission, the sitting people were economists.
Yes, I know Mahfouz Ali Khan from Balochistan. I have interviewed him, but he was not the sole authority and did not have the authority to make decisions. He was guided to do so.
No, the
So
government.
did the Castle Bengali.
No, the
I've
government. Is,
also interviewed for the same research paper.
no, the government.
They were
Is,
the representatives of the government and they were guided to do this, how.
so you mean who gonna do the which people are the most recommended people? If you are saying that even economists are controlled, then
Yes,
which
so
people are?
economists should not be controlled. I said economists should be the ones making it, but they should not be controlled. Depoliticized. The politicians should not be the ones dictating economists to do what they do.
Recently, I visited Karachi, and that was actually my first visit. I visited almost the whole Western Europe during my PhD, but it was my first visit. And during that visit, I realized what does it mean by the density of population. In my class of the development studies student, one of my students, and I already discussed this, when I visited the Kharadar, Mithadar, and especially those type of areas, that's if you really want to have understanding of what does it mean by dense population, you must visit Karachi. But again, sometime when we are talking about the distribution of resources, especially in context of this NFC, the most important critical point is again weightage on the base of population. Again, I'm not going to defend this point. But what if we take this indicator of population, because that's the most important indicator. Population does matter, especially after my visit of Karachi, especially similarly if we have some populated belts in Punjab, for example, or in Sindh or Balochistan, every province or in KP. So yes, there are so many other political debates and issues, but mostly we only criticize this formula that is based on population. I think that if we consider this formula, still it's really works because it addresses the issue. If we are taking these metropolitan cities, example, for example, Karachi and other cities. So if you want to comment on this point, so I would like, yes ma'am, please.
I would just like to, there are a number of distribution formulae that consider population density, which I think is what you're concerned about, without necessarily giving such a big piece to population absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are ways of getting around what you're addressing without just giving the whole thing to population. Because that reward, you know, as you were saying so well, there are all kinds of other things, education, health. Pick your indicator, you know, your
Yes.
favorite indicator,
Yes.
and throw it in. But, you know, many models use many other things that people consider more just than one that's heavily population-based.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree on this point. Population is not the only indicator. Yes.
I'll add to that, the formula does also have indicator of population density.
Mhm.
The 7th NFC does have that. However, the one you're talking about, like, it's very simple. If I give you money for increase in population, you would never want to reduce your population. You will increase it furthermore to get more money. So in this way, I've also written another research paper in which I have not proven, the study has proven that such a huge indicator incentivizes population rather than decreasing, and it's also one of the recommendations. Can instead incentivizing population, incentivize population reduction, award provinces on reducing population rather than increasing. Now it's just the game of money. The more you have population, the more you get money. The provinces now want to increase population, so the population is being effective. It's affecting the population entirely. It's affecting the entire Pakistan because our population is growing tremendously, because we have a race among provinces. Who has more population gets more money. So I think it's a negative point rather than being more beneficial.
Yes, thank you. Any other question? Yes, please.
Sir, I have to say that I think population is not the issue. Population management is the issue.
Yes.
Right? We have to manage this population, then this population is go beyond our thinking.
Especially when we are talking about population pyramids, and when we see the size of population youth, especially in Pakistan, we were discussing in the morning session population dividend and the youth. So that's really a issue of management. If we have 26% out of school numbers, so that's really alarming, and stunting growth, so and so. So definitely we should invest in health, education and all other indicators, and we can convert this population into opportunity. So that's how through a better management. That's why I was impressed by that point of good governance and structural reforms, because structural problems need structural reforms. We can't solve this structural issue through just advices and religious connotations and these type of advices. So it really needs structural reforms if we want to address all this issue. So similarly, I just want to share another idea on the basis of my experience in Germany, especially Dr. Faisal is there. For example, in Germany, there is a huge market for nursing, both for female and males. And Philippines is the country who is actually filling that gap. So if we, other than with growing number of their elder population, other European countries and other some Asian countries as well, they need their nursing staff, trained nursing staff. So we can capture the market instead of sending illegal or people through irregular migration. They are paying millions of rupees to the human smugglers, and they are just rushing towards Europe, losing their life as well, and just with the hope and imaginary life in Europe. So if we train these youth into these type of skills or other, for example, jobs, they have a huge market over there. So this is how can we invest in population instead of just sending them through illegal means. Yes, please.
Sir, I have my friend is in Lahore, and at the HR of hiring the nurses from all over the world. They said that UK or other like Germany, they didn't want Pakistani nurses or Pakistani paramedical staff to be hired in Germany or in any other country because of their unskilled behavior, because of their language barriers. Yes. Or unskilled profession. Right? They are hiring from all the countries. Like from India, they are hiring. From Bangladesh, they are hiring. Right? But Pakistan, they are not hiring. And this office of HR is in Pakistan, in Lahore.
Yes. That's very important point, and I could relate that point with another example. Recently, I came to know that in India, the German embassy or the German administration, they had established a school, language, especially in context of language. Now they are offering some German language courses over there, and the youth who wants to go to Germany or they want to join any profession, they choose that profession. In India, they complete their education. By the end of the time of degree completion, they had a good diploma in the German language and diploma skilled need in Germany. So through proper channel, they can go to Germany to capture that market. So similarly, there is a huge market for even barbers. And for example, Turkish are very much holding this market in the whole Germany. Similarly, drivers, especially truck drivers or other relevant fields. So we need these skilled labor over there. But somehow, unfortunately, we don't have we have a status attached with all these. They're like drivers or barbers or nursing staff. So we consider these jobs like lower status jobs. So that's another reason that we are not focusing on these type of skill job. So we are going the other way by using the help of smugglers and human traffickers. So that's very important point, that if you know the German language, you have huge market over there. So thank you so much once again for your wonderful presentations. I wish you all the best for your future publication and project.
Thank you. So with this we end this session, and we congratulate presenters who did wonderful job. I'm thankful to Dr. Toki for his wonderful remarks and discussion on some very important issues.